Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. I'm Nicolette Hodge, and this is We Reflect the Light. Welcome, sisters and brothers. We are the true seed of Abraham. We have a vision, which is the Abrahamic covenant, and we're leaving America. So that will be our focus today, and then we're going to relate our vision, the Abrahamic covenant, to the war in the Middle East. So let's get right into it, sisters and brothers. All right, sisters and brothers. The true seed of Abraham has a very specific and unique history that identifies, our history identifies exactly what we have endured here in America for the last 400 years. And we also have the Abrahamic covenant, our reward, our vision, our inheritance. This is our payment for enduring our 400-year history right here in America. So let's get right into it, sisters and brothers. The Holocaust is our true experience. It's not called slavery, sisters and brothers. The Holocaust, our experience was horror from start to finish. And with that being said, slavery is a capitalist system of maximum profit, minimum overhead. It's working someone out without paying them. That's what slavery is. Slavery is an economic system, sisters and brothers. However, the Holocaust identifies that 1% of our experience as far as slavery and the other 99% of our experience of being afflicted. So the Holocaust properly identifies our full experience. Slavery only identifies 1%. So don't be deceived by the lies and the whitewashing of our experience. They're calling it slavery. However, slavery is not the correct term. Slavery is working someone without paying them. That does not include being raped relentlessly. The original black woman was raped around the clock by these devils and forced to produce a nation of demons, devils in black skin, house Negroes. These devils tried to commit genocide on us. However, they were not successful. That's not slavery, sisters and brothers. That's war. However, we overcame. We were victorious in that battle because the original black woman stood up for our nation, the original nation, in a time of need. Going to great lengths to preserve the true seed of Abraham. We were not allowed to multiply with each other. We were not allowed to reproduce with our original man. Mass's goal was to totally rape Abraham's seed out of existence by preventing us from reproducing with our man and carrying our seed, Abraham's seed. So Massa tried to prevent us from doing that, and Massa put his seed into our womb and forced us to give birth to his black-faced children, demons, half devil, half man. They look like us. They walk like us. However, they're not us. They have our black appearance, our black skin tone, but they have the devil's blood running through their veins. And it is a scientific biological fact that you are the seed of your father. The father determines the bloodline and the nature of the child. So by these devils camouflaging themselves amongst our nation, by going into our wombs, taking what does not belong to them, using our wombs against our will, raping us. When you rape someone, that means that they did not want to be intimate with you. So that right there, that word rape, lets you know how intense this experience was and still is. Forcing themselves into our wombs and using our wombs to further their agenda. Wolves in sheep's clothing. However, us doing what warrior queens do. On post, 24/7, standing up for our nation in a time of need, without having to be asked to do it, without having to be coached through it. We saw the need and we rose to that need. We saw that they were trying to wipe our seed out of existence. They were trying to commit genocide. So, as I stated, we went through great lengths, put ourselves in even more danger than we already was in. And we multiplied against masses' will. So we had to sneak and become impregnated by our original man so that we could keep our nation alive. And we are here today. We are our ancestors. We're back through the womb, sisters and brothers. So here we are today. And if it wasn't for the great sacrifice of the original Black woman, warrior queens, goddesses of the universe, if it was not for that sacrifice, Abraham's seed would not be alive today. If it was not for that sacrifice, the Messiah, Joshua the Messiah, would not have been born. Because again, their goal was to wipe Abraham's seed out of existence. And if they were successful in doing that, that means that the Messiah would have never been born. He's Abraham's seed. That means that we wouldn't be here today reflecting this light, sisters and brothers, letting you know who we are, our history, our vision, where we're going. So, with that being said, sisters and brothers, the Holocaust. Not only did they rape us, they also sodomized our men. They boiled us. They hung us. They tortured us 24/7. They put unthinkable things in our mouths. Forcing us to eat human and animal shit. And then putting muzzles over our mouths so that we couldn't spit it out. Nor could we ingest anything else. No other food, no water. Maximum profit, minimum overhead. They maintained that economic system of capitalism, slavery, with horror and terror. They took the maximum amount of labor out of us. So using the maximum amount of our energy to produce for them. What does that look like? We had to work the fields 24/7, producing food for them to eat, taking care of their cattle so that they could have meat, pork chops and steaks, chicken wings. We had to build their homes, their mansions. And what did we get in return? That's the minimum overhead. So in return, they gave us just enough to keep us alive. Chitlins, the part of the pig that they didn't want to eat. Today they replaced the SH with a CH. They replaced the S with a C. And they think that we're too stupid to identify that we're eating shit. So, the Holocaust, 400 years, 400 plus years of horror and terror being inflicted upon the original black man and black woman right here in North America. How else did they afflict us? They put us through severe psychological torture. They convinced us that there's a hell beneath our feet. Much worse than the hell that we were and are living in on a day-to-day basis. We're in hell right now. However, they convinced us that there was something far worse in another realm, a mystical realm that could not be identified or proven. They told us there's hell beneath our feet. If we don't believe in Jesus, and the Jesus itself is a made-up term. Jesus never existed. The name comes from Greek mythology. So Jesus never existed. And then the picture that they gave us is a picture of Massa with a dress on. So a devil in a dress. Told us that if we don't love and accept and pray to this Jesus, this mystical character, this imaginary, this made-up imaginary figure, if we don't pray to and love and accept Jesus, then we're going to burn in hell forever and ever and ever. So they put that psychological fear, that fear in us, so that we would obey Massa. They told us that, the psychological fear went so deep, even if we were to die and go to heaven, we would be slaves forever and ever and ever. So there was really no winning for us, according to their lies. However, they used that to keep us in submission, that fear tactic. And it served its purpose. So, the Holocaust, unrelenting torture and terror afflicted on the original black man and woman for 400 plus years. The Holocaust is a sacrifice that we made, sisters and brothers. And that sacrifice is and will continue to be rewarded. So let's get into the scriptures. There are those who claim to be us. They claim they are the true seed of Abraham. False Israel says that they are God's chosen people. However, God's chosen people have a specific description that's given in the book of Genesis. That description identifies what we would endure. It identifies a time frame. And it's laid out in a very detailed manner so that there's no confusion about who the true seed of Abraham is. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. So our father Abram had a vision of horror. And that's exactly what we lived out, the Holocaust. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Know of a surety, sisters and brothers, that means that this is not a critical race theory. This is not a dream. This is a sure, definite. This is recorded facts. Thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. What land is that? America. We were brought over here to America. This is not our land. We are strangers in this land. Some translation says sojourners in a land that is not theirs, which identifies that we are on a temporary stay here in America. So if we're on a temporary stay, if we are strangers in this land, that means there's a land that we come from that we're not strangers to, a land that we are familiar with. And what happened while we are strangers in this land, America, that's not ours? We will serve this nation, and this nation will afflict us, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. So the 400-year time period that's given here lasted from 1619 to 2019. Now, we were brought over here in 1555. It took them 64 years to produce the first slave, which was a process of them stripping us down, getting rid of our names, and branding us with their names. So they got rid of our Muslim names and they put their devil surnames on us. Smith, Washington, and the list goes on. They stripped us of our native language, and they put their language on us, English. They branded us. They snatched our babies away from us and threw them in cages and raised them up as animals. So it was a 64-year process of producing the first slave. And that 400 years started with our servitude. So it took 64 years to prepare us to be able to serve them. So that time period started in 1619 and it went to 2019. It shares an also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And part of that is that time period of our submission, our servitude and affliction, that time period has ended. And we're now in the transition to the next season. So that winter season of submission, of us submitting to the devils, the winter season is, let me say it like that, the winter season is coming to an end. And now we're in the transition to the spring season. So, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. Moving into another time period, moving into another season, moving into another reality. And afterward shall they come out of this strange land that does not belong to us, come out of America with great substance. Great substance means great wealth, valuables. And thou shalt go to thy fathers, again, letting you know that we're leaving this land of our imprisonment in peace. Thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again. Hither means here. So that identifies that we're returning to our original land. Again, they shall come here again. For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. So, sisters and brothers, we are the only ones on the planet that meet this description that's identified here in the book of Genesis. False Israel claims they are the true seed of Abraham. However, they don't have the history of Abraham's seed. So it's easy to identify who false Israel is, which they are liars, thieves, murderers. The synagogue of Satan. The book of Revelation tells us, and I'm paraphrasing, those who call themselves Jews are not. They are lying. They are the synagogue of Satan. Satan is the seed of the devil. So Satan is masquerading as us, controlling our image on the television, through the entertainment industry, controlling the information we receive from the news outlets, from the educational institutions, even has one of their own black-faced Jews over the Nation of Islam, Louis Farrakhan. He admits that his father is a Portuguese Jew that raped his black mother. So why is Farrakhan over the Nation of Islam and he's not even original? He's a devil in black skin. That's part of the deception that the devils are using to keep us from identifying who we are and to keep us from knowing that we have a vision, to keep us from identifying that we're leaving America and we're returning home to our promised land. In that day, God made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. In that day, God made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. So God made a covenant, which is more than a promise. This is God's sure and volatile word. The Supreme Wisdom Lessons identifies that word as bond, sisters and brothers. Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Now, when you look on a map, those two rivers are not in America, sisters and brothers. So let's keep moving. The land that's in between the two rivers, the river of Egypt and the great river, the river Euphrates, is Arabia. Arabia is our promised land. The Supreme Wisdom Lessons tells you that our heavenly home is the best part of the planet Earth. Arabia, at the holy city Mecca. And that Arabia is the root of civilization. So Arabia is our original land, sisters and brothers. And lessons tell you that we cannot return home until we have a thorough knowledge of self. So all of the books that have been given to us, none of them contradict each other. They all go hand in hand, sisters and brothers. This is our vision. This is our inheritance. This is our birthright. This is our reward for enduring that 400 years of the Holocaust. So our work is not in vain, sisters and brothers. Warrior queens, our sacrifice is not in vain. It's not to be taken lightly. Sisters, your way is paved in gold. You want to come home? You're coming home. You already paid the price. Now it's time to step up and claim what's yours. So, this is God's word. Now, if we were to accept another form of payment outside of the Abrahamic covenant, then we cancel out the covenant. We nullify the covenant. So, Louis Farrakhan and his student ministers, they say that we're not going anywhere. They refuse to read our father Abram's vision of horror in its entirety. So they only read a few lines of a few verses, because even the vision of horror identifies that we're leaving America. It says that thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. In the fourth generation they shall come hither again. They shall come out with great substance. So they won't even go into that part of Abram's vision of horror, and they most certainly will not read the Abrahamic covenant. Nor will the ministers and preachers in the church, they will not read the Abrahamic covenant. Why is that? They cannot let you know that you have a vision, because that vision gives you purpose, gives you one common vision to unite under. We are one body, sisters and brothers, one people. So they want to keep us disunited with each other and integrating with devils. Elijah Muhammad taught complete and total separation. Louis Farrakhan is teaching integration. Love devils, accept them as your brothers. He's brought in Scientology. So he's saying to hell with the supreme wisdom lessons of Master Farad Muhammad, and that we need to be doing Ron L. Hubbard's program, Diagnetics, giving confessionals through these audits, which has nothing to do with leaving America, has nothing to do with the Abrahamic covenant, has nothing to do with our vision. And how can we truly be gods and goddesses if we're getting hooked up to some machine doing audits, what they call self-improvement, where you tell all your deep, dark secrets, all the pain and trauma that you've been through, and they concoct some lies saying that they're clearing you of all of this stuff. And that's what actually got us here today. It didn't kill us, it made us stronger. So why would you want to get rid of that? That's my perspective on that. If you remove the experience that you had, then how can you still have those results? So, we're not here to erase our history, sisters and brothers. You know, from my perspective, that diagnetics and auditing is a way to erase your history, which is what got you to where you're at today. We don't curse the path that got us here. We use it to make us stronger, And that's exactly what we have done, sisters and brothers. All of the horror, the pain, the torture, the affliction made us stronger. It didn't kill us. Our babies are constantly coming out the womb stronger and stronger and stronger. Even though they have put all kind of measures in place to kill us off, we have overcome that. They put birth control on us, trying to control our birth rate, trying to prevent us from multiplying, sterilizing us, throwing our men in prison, locking them away and throwing away the key. There's no reproduction in that situation, and we overcame all of that. So we have a victorious track record. We're the most successful people on the planet. This concentrated effort to kill us has only made us emerge stronger and stronger and stronger. So, back to Louis Farrakhan, he will not preach the Abrahamic covenant. Why is that? The Abrahamic covenant is for the true seed of Abraham. Farrakhan is not the seed of Abraham. So he despises the Abrahamic covenant. And he despises the true seed of Abraham, so he hates us. So let's keep moving. It shares, I will plant Israel in their own land, never again to be uprooted from the land I have given them. What land is that? Arabia. We Israel. False Israel is false. They is not real. They claim they're true seed of Abraham. They claim the Abrahamic covenant has been fulfilled. However, it shares that I will plant Israel in their own land, never again to be uprooted from the land that I have given them. So, our history, Abram's vision of horror, identifies that we will go home in peace. So, false Israel, they claim that they are us. They claim that the Abrahamic covenant has been fulfilled. For one, they're not in the land that's between the river of Egypt and the river Euphrates. They're not in Arabia. They're in Jerusalem. They are not at peace. And scriptures also tells us that when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, know that her desolation, which means destruction, is near. And if they was the true seed of Abraham, they would not be destroyed. False Israel would not be destroyed if they were truly who they claim to be. So it's clear that false Israel has stolen our identity. Again, we Israel, we are the true seed of Abraham. We are the rightful inheritors of the Abrahamic covenant. So this is more facts and proof letting you know who we are, sisters and brothers, and the fact that we're about to leave America and return home to our promised land, Arabia. We will return home in peace. We will never be uprooted again from the land that God has given us. So let's keep moving, sisters and brothers. Reparations. It's not a vision, sisters and brothers, it's a dream. There's no amount of money that can be put. There's no amount of money that will rectify the rape of our women, of our sisters, of our grandmothers, of our babies. So understand that this reparations is a temptation that these devils are using against us. It's a weapon to prevent us from fulfilling our vision of the Abrahamic covenant. And they're using their black-faced children to push reparations on us. Louis Farrakhan, he's pushing reparations. The churches, they're pushing reparations. Democrats, they're pushing their reparations. They're all house Negroes, sisters and brothers. And if you don't know you have a vision, then reparations might sound good. However, understand that reparations is a deception. We want complete and total separation. Not moving next door, not moving down the street. We want complete and total separation. We have our own land that has been promised to us, the best part of the planet Earth. Why would we want to stay here in America, the worst part of the planet Earth? Why would we want to stay here in hell? It shares that our land is flowing with milk and honey. That means it's very rich land. Yet America has no topsoil. And this war has revealed how bad shape America is in, because America is dependent upon resources from the Middle East to enrich their soil so that they can even grow fruits and vegetables. So why would we want to stay in a land of our imprisonment? Elijah Muhammad said that we would be fools to stay in the land of our imprisonment. Why would we want to stay in a barren land? Why would we want to stay in a land that we were raped, afflicted, tortured in? So this reparations it's a scam, sisters and brothers. It's a dream. Reparations is not a vision. Our vision is a surety. It's a sure definite, sisters and brothers. It's God's word. And as I stated, word is bond. So right now we're going to get into one of the biggest opposers of the Abrahamic covenant, which is Louis Farrakhan. He refuses to speak the covenant to us. He is trying to get us to accept reparations, so he's trying to get us to sell out of our birthright, which that weapon that's formed against us will not prosper. And Farrakhan himself is another weapon that the devils have formed against us because he's in black skin, so he's a deception. However, just by us reflecting this light and letting you know, you don't have to, or you will be given the information so that you're not deceived, so that you don't fall into that trap, so that you're not scammed out of your reward, sisters and brothers. Because again, the Abrahamic covenant does not apply to him. And what is this reparations thing about? It's about staying here on the plantation, right here with Massa. That's exactly what the house Negroes want. They don't want to leave America. And that's fine. They are entitled to wanting to be loved and accepted by their devil fathers. The problem is that they are in that black skin, so that appeals to our sisters and brothers. So as a unit, we are trusting wolves in sheep's clothing because they have the appearance of a sheep. But what are they saying? They're howling. Howling. They want to stay here in America. They want reparations. Don't call devils devils anymore. Love and accept them. That's wolf language. So be aware, sisters and brothers. We're under attack on all kind of sides, on every level. We're under attack. This is a mind war. So they're playing mind games, tricks on us. This reparations is nothing but a fantasy. A dream, sisters and brothers. All right. Louis Farrakhan, he admits that his father is a devil, Percival Clark. He's a Jew, a Portuguese Jew that raped Farrakhan's black mother and forced Farrakhan's mother to give birth to a demon, a devil in black skin. She tried to abort him. She was unsuccessful. So, demonology, the study of demons, is a scientific biological fact that Farrakhan is the seed of his devil father. All right? And he is Legion. Legion is the chief demon. Now, the name Legion identifies Farrakhan's birth name and his mission. LEG stands for Louis Eugene Grounds. That's Farrakhan's birth name. And ION is the Nation of Islam backwards. And that's exactly what Farrakhan has done. He's turned the Nation of Islam backwards. So it identifies his birth name and his mission. So here in the book of Mark, and he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. So it's identifying that there are many demons, there are many wolves in sheep's clothing amongst the sheep. This is how consistent and relentless the rape of the original black woman was. Out of 34 million blacks in America, 17 million are demons. 17 million are Caucasians and black skin. And the other 17 million are the saints, the original sisters and brothers. So Legion said, my name is Legion, for we are many. Also, he begged him earnestly. This is Legion speaking to Jesus. He begged him earnestly that he would not send them out of the country. So the demons, the house Negroes, they don't want to leave America. Now, a large herd of swine was feeding near the mountains. So all the demons begged him, saying, send us to the swine that we may enter them. And at once Jesus gave them permission. Then the unclean spirits went out and entered the swine. There were about 2,000. And the herd ran violently down the steep place into the sea and drowned in the sea. So this is identifying a point in time in the very near future in which the demons will be separated out from, be separated away from the original black man and woman. Right now, our nation is plagued with cancer cells, which are the demons. However, that cancer is about to be removed. And you see exactly what it is that the demons are asking. They're asking to stay here in America. Jesus honors that. And they want to stay right here with their devil fathers. That's the bottom line of what's being said here. And so let's hear out of the chief demon's own mouth.
I believe that America can be beautiful. How can America be made beautiful? Now, family, listen. My brother Imam Wallace and I have had a disagreement. But his followers and mine have never given each other as much as a bloody nose. Because, in spite of our differences, there's a deep love in us. We don't like the things about our nation that is not good. But I don't want to live anywhere else. I want America to be made right. I don't want to see America go the way of Rome and Babylon and Sodom and Gomorrah. But why won't she go that way? if the men of religion and the women of religion keep silent.
All right, sisters and brothers. Farrakhan is saying out of his own mouth, he doesn't want to leave America. He loves America. He wants to see America be made right. However, understand, sisters and brothers, that Farrakhan is not representing us. Farrakhan is representing his double fathers. So that's why he's in favor. That's why he's speaking in favor of his double fathers. He's pushing their agenda because he's one of them. So it's very simple once you understand who Farrakhan is, once you understand his bloodline, once you realize he's not the true seed of Abraham, everything that he's doing makes sense. He's Legion, the chief demon. He doesn't want to leave America, but that's fine. But the problem is that he's deceiving our people. Let's keep moving.
We have to press the government for reparations. Come on, Farrakhan, that's a pipe dream. Well, damn, you better put it in your pipe. You better start smoking what this is. Because that message you talking ain't making no damn sense. You gonna wait around here another 100 years so they can bamboozle you some more? He said, well, 8 or 10 states, let them go out, we go in, and let them take care of us in that separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years. You say, oh, come on, Farrakhan, they won't do that. Listen, they've been taking care of Israel for 55 years. They've given Israel over $100 billion of your tax dollars, and Israel hasn't done nothing for them. You mean to tell me we who built the country, we who fought, bled and died to maintain the country, we who gave it art and culture and seasoning, and you know we can't get along with you in peace as long as we want equal justice? Hell no, we can't wait for you to change. We want a nation. We want to be able to prepare a future for our children. We don't need no rich middle class of Negroes who can't do nothing for the masses of our people. We need land and territory that we can call our own. So reparations gotta be on the agenda.
All right, sisters and brothers, you heard it. Straight out of the chief demon's mouth. He's pushing for reparations. We have our own land, sisters and brothers. He tells you that that's a pipe dream. So he himself knows that that's an illusion. So the truth is clear, sisters and brothers. We give you the information and you make your decision, which you will make the right decision, sisters and brothers. And that thing about reparations is that it has to be 100% compliance for that to nullify the Abrahamic covenant. If even one of us says, no, we're not accepting reparations, then that's off the table. That's something that is not going to cancel out the Abrahamic covenant. Many of us are saying we're not accepting reparations. So, sisters and brothers, that's just a temptation to throw you off, to prevent you from fulfilling your vision, which is the Abrahamic covenant. Now, not only is Farrakhan trying to get us to stay here in America, lying to us, he's also, what's his attitude towards us? How does he think about us? How does he feel about us? He is our accuser. So, with that being said, we're going to let you hear straight from the chief demon's mouth what he truly thinks about us.
We have to press the government.
Excuse me, sisters and brothers.
So Shabazz was not permitted to stay in that area, so he took his family into the jungle of East Asia, which we now call Africa, to make a people close to nature. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says this is the origin of kinky hair, because we didn't have kinky hair prior to that. The hair on our head was like the hair on our eyebrows. The hair on your eyebrows straight. The hair on your head is not the same as the hair on your eyebrow. But the hair of every other people is the same as their eyebrow. Your eyebrow straight, your hair something different. Wouldn't you like the hair on your head to be as straight as the hair on your eyebrow? That's why you're so busy frying it. That's why you're so busy pulling it. Because your nature tells you that the kink. I mean, you know, I'm black and I'm proud. We got to learn to be proud of kinks. Because most of your family of other black people on the earth, jet black. They didn't have no broad nose and thick lips and kinky hair. They were dark-skinned people, jet black. But they had straight hair, a thinner lip, a thinner nose. But we are marked as a different kind of black person. And we were rejected and despised, not only from the circle of the gods, but we were despised and rejected by all the other dark people of the earth. This is why today black people with kinky hair and broad nose and thick lips are rejected in every society. I want you to hear me well tonight. Yes, sir. Why are we rejected? Because the essence of beauty is in obedience and submission to God. And the essence of ugliness is when you rebel against God. And when you rebel against God, in your rebellion, you are marked with a certain mark of your rebellion, which is the disfigurement of your internal self, which manifests in the disfigurement of your external self. And this is why when you look at our people, wherever we are found on the earth, you find us either disfiguring ourselves physically, because we are disfigured on the inside because of rebellion.
All right, sisters and brothers, Elijah Muhammad never taught any such bullshit. He said Dr. Shabazz's intent was to make us as strong as possible in preparation for our future tribulation of enslavement. DNA reveals that kinky, woolly hair is the dominant gene or best hair. Excuse me, but isn't that the hair of the Son of Man? All right, sisters and brothers, Farrakhan is saying that we're cursed. He's saying that our kinky hair is punishment for being in rebellion to God. He says that we're deformed. Sisters and brothers, he's also making fun of us. You know, this is something that's he's making fun of us, poking fun, laughing at us, when in reality, that kinky hair shows that we have the dominant gene. And that stringy hair, straight hair, that he and his devil fathers has is a recessive gene. He's saying that that recessive gene is the best gene. So he's mixing everything up. He's saying the exact opposite of what's true. And in doing so, he's revealing his hate towards us. And let me point this out. He's saying the same thing as the devils are saying. They say that we're Ham, cursed black, to be slaves forever and ever and ever. Farrakhan is saying that we're cursed black with kinky hair. And he wants us to be slaves forever and ever and ever. He wants us to stay here in America. This is the land of our enslavement and affliction. He's feeding off of us, a leech sucking the blood of the Nation of Islam. He turned the Nation of Islam backwards. He worked with Wallace, Worth Dean, to destroy all the nation's assets. He's calling us cursed, but the book of Malachi identifies that he's the one that's cursed. He's cursed with a curse for robbing us, robbing God in tithes and offerings, stealing money. Not only did he get rid of all $80 million assets, he went on for the next 42 plus years talking about some economic development program, collecting all this money from the members, tithes and offerings, money that's being given, donated in the name of nation building. And he's a millionaire. Where the Nation of Islam has absolutely nothing. No businesses, no restaurants, no schools, no banks, no homes. He hasn't produced anything, but he's a millionaire. He lives in mansions. He has, these designer cars and suits and glasses. And he's the one that's cursed with a curse. He's disemboweled. He has prostate cancer. He can no longer reproduce. He's cursed. So, Farrakhan speaks against us. And another reason he's doing that is to deter you from identifying who the Son of Man is, Joshua the Messiah, who has hair like lamb's wool and skin like burnished brass, skin like fine copper. So this is a dark-skinned man with hair like lamb's wool, white hair, like lamb's wool. He's the true seed of Abraham, Joshua the Messiah. He is the breaker of the 7 seals. He's the messenger of the covenant. So this person is preaching the Abrahamic covenant to us. He's the breaker of the 7 seals. And he's given us a free gift. So he's not collecting any money from us. He's not asking for donations. He's not asking for followers. However, by Farrakhan making this statement here, he's trying to deter you from the Son of Man, Joshua the Messiah, Master Suleiman. And he's saying that the Son of Man is cursed with kinky woolly hair, when in reality, that's one of the major physical identification factors to properly ID who the Son of Man is, which is not Farrakhan. Farrakhan doesn't have hair like lamb's wool. Master Farad Muhammad doesn't have hair like lamb's wool. Elijah Muhammad, all the pictures we've seen, no hair like lamb's wool. Plus all of his other qualifications, breaker of the 7 seals. Farrakhan hasn't claimed to do that, but Farrakhan claims he's the Messiah. The Messiah is the breaker of the 7 seals. So Farrakhan, just like his devil fathers, Farrakhan is a Jew in black skin. What is false Israel doing? They're claiming to be us. Claiming to be someone that they're not. That's the same thing that Farrakhan is doing. While tarnishing our image. Has us, presenting us to the world as a laughing stock. Has us, the NOI doesn't have any respect under Farrakhan's leadership. He's talking about making the communities a safe place to live. However, the black community was a safe place to live under the leadership of Elijah Muhammad. That's not the case under Farrakhan. No one respects the FOI under Farrakhan's misleadership. The FOI is a laughingstock. They got the sisters out on the streets making money for them, pimping the sisters out. Farrakhan is a Jew in black skin. And look at the history of the Jews. Al Jolson, painting their face with black makeup and degrading the experience of the original black man and woman, running around in blackface, making money off of the horror that they inflicted on us, presenting it as entertainment. And that's what is being done today as well, through the media, entertainment. All of these black-faced devils, Kevin Hart, Beyonce, Nicki Minaj, Oprah, LeBron James, all of them, misrepresenting us to the world, has us looking like drug addicts, clowns, whores, pimps, thugs. When in reality, that's who they are. You don't blame the product, sisters and brothers, you blame the manufacturers. So they're trying to present as if that's how we are. Well, if that's the case, then how did we get like that? That must be what the manufacturer is, if that's what the product is. However, understand, sisters and brothers, that the demons have us acting other than ourselves. They have us acting against our nature. So we're copying what we see on the TV, what we see, because understand that the demons, the house Negroes, they were put over us as role models and overseers. And they told us, if you do what I'm doing, then you'll be in the big house one day. In reality, we were never going to get into the big house, Master's house, because that's strictly for Master's children. So they were just dangling a carrot over our head to keep us unaware of who we are and where we're going. So if you're thinking that you're cursed, you think that you ain't nothing, then why would you be looking for a reward? And then he calls us sinful. He's constantly accusing us. Not only is he accusing us of being cursed, he accuses us of being sinful. He says that we need to atone. So if you think that you're sinful and that you're cursed, why would you be looking for inheritance? Why would you be looking for your birthright? You would think that you don't even deserve it. So that's also another weapon. That's another tactic, another deception to keep us down, keep us from identifying what's real, to keep us from connecting the dots, sisters and brothers.
Yes. When the Muslims were alive, I'll say it again. When the Muslims were alive, you dead as hell now on both sides. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's real. That's real. When we was alive, we set up schools. That's right. When we were alive, we had supermarkets. We owned buildings. We owned farmland. We were busy doing something, hiring our people. Well, I'm telling the Muslims, damn it, if you don't come alive, you will die like you are. And I will say, thank you, Allah, because if they're not doing nothing on top of the earth, let the worms eat their ass.
So there you have it, sisters and brothers. Farrakhan prays to Allah that the worms eat our ass. Because what? We're not producing enough for him. Not putting enough steaks on his plate. Not giving him enough money. Every time he speaks against us, he exposes himself. You know, when you point your finger at someone, you have 4 pointed back at you. And Farrakhan is always pointing the finger, accusing us. He's the one who put the Nation of Islam to death. He's the reason that the Muslims are not alive. He won't talk about that. But he's accusing us. So, what does scriptures tell us? Now, this verse comes right after the war in heaven. We'll get into the war in heaven next. So this happens during the war in the Middle East. This is an event that will take place during the war in the Middle East. And this will happen within the Nation of Islam. And I heard voice great in the heavens saying, right now became the salvation and the power and the kingdom of the God of us and the authority of the Christ of him, because was thrown the accuser of the brothers of us, the accusing them in sight of the God of us of day and of night. So who's accusing us? Who's saying he prays to Allah, the worms eat our ass? Who's saying that we need to atone? Who's saying that we're sinful? That's Louis Farrakhan. He is our accuser. And he's sitting in Elijah Muhammad's seat. He's the one that turned the Nation of Islam backwards. He's Legion, the chief demon. He doesn't want to leave America. He's blocking our vision of the Abrahamic covenant. He's saying that he's the Messiah, trying to throw us off, trying to deceive us from identifying who the Messiah is. However, the scriptures makes it very clear who Joshua the Messiah is. So, during the war in the Middle East, Farrakhan will be cast down from the Nation of Islam. And it shares that he's accusing us day and night. So he's constantly accusing us relentlessly. However, in him doing so, it's exposed that he hates us. It's exposed his true thoughts and feelings about us. So there's no confusion about who Farrakhan is from a DNA biological standpoint, from his mindset towards us, from his, aspirations of wanting to get reparations and take over America. It's clear from every angle who Louis Farrakhan is, sisters and brothers. He's robbed God. He's robbed the Nation of Islam in tithes and offerings. He's cursed with the curse. So we identify him from that standpoint. There's nothing good about him in the scriptures. Every scripture, he comes up stinking. So that takes us into the war in the Middle East. How does this relate to the war in the Middle East, sisters and brothers? Our home, Arabia, is in the Middle East. It shares and occurred war in the heaven. Heaven is the Middle East, sisters and brothers. It's not someplace up in the sky. Hell is not someplace below our feet. We're in hell right now. Our heavenly home, Arabia, is the best part of the planet Earth. And Arabia is in the Middle East. Heaven is the Middle East. So this is a war that's taking place right now in the Middle East. And who's involved? The Michael and the angels of him of the two war with the dragon. And the dragon warred and the angels of it. So we're given two groups that are fighting against each other. And then we're given an outcome, and not it proved strong. Not but place was found of them yet in the heaven. And was thrown the dragon the great, the serpent the archaic, the being called devil and the Satan, the making to air the being inhabited whole. He was thrown into the earth, and the angels of him with him were thrown. All right, so this is identifying that the dragon and his angels will be defeated by Michael and his angels. The dragon and his angels will be thrown out of heaven, will be thrown out of the Middle East. And we're given the manner, we're given a quality of this defeat, thrown out. So that means that they will be forcefully removed. So there's not going to be a retreat. There's not going to be a surrender. There will not be a peace talk. This war is going to result with the dragon and his angels being forcefully removed from the Middle East, thrown out. So that means until that happens, the war in the Middle East is not over, no matter how they're spinning it on the news. No matter what Trump says, peace talks and an agreement. No, it shares that the dragon and his angels will be thrown out of the Middle East. So let's identify who these two groups are. Michael and his angels. Our God, Master Farad Muhammad, is Michael. His angels are Iran and Syria. All right, Michael and his angels is our brothers. They're fighting on our behalf. All right, we have the same father. They are our paternal brothers. They have a white skin tone, however, they have original blood running through their veins. All right, so then the dragon and his angels. The house of Saud is the dragon. His angels are America, Britain, and false Israel. So the dragon is about to be defeated in this war. The dragon fuels his angels. The dragon is sitting on our land, Arabia, and has named our land Saudi Arabia. They put their name on our land. They're pretending that our land belongs to them. And they're controlling our oil, our fuel. So the dragon fuels its angels. So the European nations, the Caucasian nations, America, Britain, false Israel, they're dependent upon that oil that comes out of our land, which is being supplied to them by the dragon. And they need that oil to run their economy. So this entire industrialized complex, if you will, that we're on in America is totally dependent upon oil to function. However, Michael and his angels are going to win this war. They are our brothers. They're fighting on our behalf. They're in sync with our vision, the Abrahamic covenant. So when Michael and his angels win that war, and the dragon and his angels are defeated, what does that mean for America's economy? Economic collapse, which is already underway, sisters and brothers. Iran has blocked the Strait of Hormuz throughout this war, and it has caused a severe economic strain on America to the point where America missed a whole planting season because they couldn't get resources that passed through the Strait of Hormuz. Not only do they get oil from the Middle East, they get other natural resources that they need to be able to grow food. So we see gas prices going up, food prices going up, and that's while the war is going on. America hasn't lost the war yet. What's going to happen once America loses the war and Iran turns off that oil supply completely? Michael and his angels are about to turn America's lights off for good. That means it's going to be an economic collapse, a famine, a total famine of all resources needed to successfully run America's economy. No food, no water, no transportation, no air conditioning, nothing. A total famine, which is already underway, sisters and brothers. And with the dragon and his angels being removed from the Middle East, and there's other details in there, such as false Israel. False Israel will be destroyed. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, know that its destruction is near. And how is Jerusalem going to be surrounded by armies? First of all, who runs Jerusalem? False Israel. False Israel is the capital of Jerusalem. America and Britain established false Israel in the Holy Land to counter Elijah Muhammad's claim that we are the true seed of Abraham. So that was their attempt to block our vision. The House of Saud was established by the British throne to guarantee an oil supply between the House of Saud, the dragon, and its angels. So all of our enemies are working together against us, sisters and brothers. We have many enemies. Understand that. And they're conspiring against us, trying to deal with us shrewdly, dealing with us deceptively, trying to trick us. However, the fact that we're here reflecting this light, that deception, that shrewd plan, no weapon formed against us will prosper. And we're evidence of that today. So once America, Britain, and the House of Saud get kicked out of the Middle East first, that leaves false Israel stranded with no support, and they will go under siege and be destroyed. Once false Israel is destroyed, it's revealed that we are the true seed of Abraham. And once that false vision, Satan is the God of this world, and they're pushing this false narrative that they are God's chosen people. However, once they're destroyed, that is totally removed, and then our vision comes forth. We emerge, we rise up, never to fall again. We become the heads. We are on top at that point. And our identity and our vision is realized full throttle. They can't have that, sisters and brothers. So we are in danger. Right now, this war in the Middle East, we're witnessing heaven, our home, our heavenly home, being purged, being purified. We're witnessing the dragon, the devil, and Satan in the process of being removed from the Middle East. This is the situation in which our land will be turned over to us by our God, Master Fard Muhammad. Because once Iran, Syria, and our God wins the war, they're going to take control of our land, our holy sites, our oil, our resources, in preparation to turn that over to us. That's why I explained that they're fighting on our behalf. So, the book of Exodus tells us that they're fearful. They're dealing with us shrewdly. We know that they're trying to deal with us shrewdly. They have shrewd plans against us. They do not want us to multiply. We overcame that. And they do not want us to leave the country. And they fear that if a war breaks out, we will side against America's enemies, fight America, and leave this land. So they don't want us to leave the country. That's the bottom line. And our enemies are aware that we are leaving America. That's why in the book of Mark, Legion, the chief demon, is begging not to be sent out of the country. Well, then that means he knows that we're leaving the country. He knows that we are returning to our home. Arabia is not his home. But he's aware that we're about to leave the country. So all of our enemies are working together. They have all hands on deck to prevent the rise of the original black men and women, to prevent us from making our exodus out of America. And this economic collapse is for our benefit, sisters and brothers. We have our own economics. We have our own land. We are one body. And together we all serve those different functions. We all have a different function of the body that we serve. So we have a situation where we can provide everything we need for each other just by being ourselves and doing what it is that we want to do under our vision of the Abrahamic covenant. So They're trying to prevent all of this because our rise is their destruction. Our rise is their demise. Once we rise up, they can no longer leech off of us. That system of capitalism goes down the drain. No more maximum profit, minimum overhead. No more taking the maximum amount of energy out of us and giving us shit. So by us uniting and coming together, making our exodus out of America, returning home to our promised land, Arabia, living together, one body, one unit, us taking care of each other, that leaves them with nothing. But themselves. And they have gotten wealthy off of our backs. So why would they want to let us go, sisters and brothers? Why would Farrakhan want to let us go when he's became a millionaire off of us? Same thing for America. So we are in danger, sisters and brothers. This is a life or death situation in which they are willing to prevent us from escaping America by any means necessary. And they are planning to attack us. So we must be on the alert. We must be prepared to move out at any moment. We must be security minded. Understand that the 5 mathematical pillars of Islam is our protection. Our protection is in our discipline. So with that being said, we have a winning streak. We are the most successful people on the planet. And we will continue to be victorious, warrior queens. We will be courageous. And we are going to fulfill our vision of the Abrahamic covenant. We are leaving America, sisters and brothers. So we have a lot to look forward to, sisters and brothers. We have a door out of America's destruction. So with that being said, that brings this segment to a close, and I will be back with more. Assalamu alaikum.